Well, this is getting interesting. First, everybody goes apeshit bananas in the United States with hashtags "not my president" and all this kind of crap. It's like, hey, he got elected. And then apparently everybody flunks civics. They don't understand the electoral college and its function, which isn't just some elitist nonsense, but it also makes sure that high population areas don't overrule low population areas, so everybody gets fair representation. And I said, well, he lost the popular vote. Well, so what? This isn't a pure democracy or mobocracy, which the founding fathers considered a bad thing. This is a republic with a representative democracy, representation, and representatives to it, okay? And it sort of balances the power between the masses that can be whipped up with God knows what bullshit or used to things that aren't quite correct or whatever, and maintaining things going on. But aside from that, so then you have all these riots and stuff going on, you know? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Nobody's ever done this stuff, I don't think, about complaining about reacting like this and saying, well, and even there were hints about there should be an assassination. They're getting very vocal about there should be an assassination. And, you know, trying to incite a murder is illegal, especially if you start actually doing something more than just talking, but, you know, trying to connect with somebody to do it. But I understand that, you know, once he's actually inaugurated, he's legally president. At that point, I think they're calling for his assassination comes under the heading of some federal law. Nobody seems to be prosecuting anybody. But now it got really strange. There's this ambassador who's been appointed by Trump to the EU. And the EU's government, which is not elected, is they're having some fuss about whether they're going to accept him or not. And it's almost like a rehash of not accepting Trump over here. And it's other business. And they're not quite exactly saying that they don't accept him as legitimate president. I'm not quite sure what they are saying. I just caught the first part of an RT program about this. But as the guy says, I can't remember his name, ambassadors are normally, they're appointed by the country they represent to represent their country's interests abroad. They're not selected by the country that they're sent to. Now, I suppose theoretically you could if there's something really bad about the person, you could say, well, he's persona non grata, send somebody else so we break off communications with you altogether. But that's pretty extreme. And when it seems to be, the real issue seems to be they don't like Trump. Well, the only parallels to this kind of thing, though I doubt it included this type of action, but the attitude being shown is usually shown towards less powerful countries, that's more powerful once a regime change in. Now, it seems to me that part of the problem, including Hillary's nervous breakdown, getting drunk, throwing furniture, and slugging people, and Bill said, oh, I cradled her in my arms. Yeah, it sounds like an interesting spin on the situation. More likely the cradling was, while she cried, he cradled her in his arms while she cried. And she's probably screaming obscenities and some tears, and he probably had to physically restrain her from beating up one of her aides, what she was trying to do. And so he's holding her off this person, and yeah, she's crying as well as screaming, and so yeah, you could say he's cradling in her arms while I don't know that this is exactly what happened, but given that some people were there since she acted like that, and then he says I cradled her in my arms while she was crying, I suspect that is in fact what happened, that he pulled her off somebody and putting some spin on it. Be that as it may, the behavior shown is pretty extreme and pretty weird. It's kind of like everybody involved, down to the boots on the ground element, took for granted, and in the EU, took for granted that their their setup, what they were expecting to have happen, and so on, that all this is just, it's been arranged ahead of time. This other stuff's just a formality, wink, wink, and this is the way we really do things, never mind the rules. This is what really goes on. I mean, yeah, this is exactly the sort of attitude and the way things work with these good old boy networks and what have you, but it's not right, it's not legal, and anyway, there it is. It got flouted this time, got overturned this time. So now everybody's kind of nervous. And, so, well, the behaviors shown tend to lend credence to the allegations from many directions. Those directions often are opposed to each other's agendas. Some blame everything on Illuminati, some on Jews, some on closet Nazis, some on some other thing, some on Jesuits, some on God knows what all. And most of them are just realistic. We're talking about a bunch of people who have family, some of them marital connections to each other, social connections to each other, and they're all in a certain general social and political category. And most of them wield power that is not directly accountable, i.e. not elected. And these people, this idea there's some sort of conspiracy going. Well, it depends how you define a conspiracy. You don't have to have a formal organization with robes and rituals and specific membership cards and ranks. You can just have a general understanding and a way of doing things. At that point, you can say, is it a culture? Is it a conspiracy? What is it? But definitely, this apple cart upsetting that's been going on is seen as a serious threat by people, and people who themselves are connected as individuals and as blocks, categories, whatever, with extremely corrupt financial and sexual behavior. That's all I've got to say right now.